What if positive emotions weren't something you had to chase, but something you could build slowly and honestly in a way that actually lasted? If you've ever felt pressure to stay positive while life felt anything but, this episode is for you.
Every lesson is a lyric in the universal song. Oh, the lessons of the journey, I'll weave them in my song.
Welcome back to Lessons of the Journey. I'm Coach Jen here with Coach Nicole. This is the third and final episode in our series on positive emotions, and today we are bringing everything together. In the first episode, Positive Emotions Matter More Than You Think, and here's why. We talked about what positive emotions really are, not the polished version we see online, and not the kind of positivity that skips over real life, but the grounded, nervous system supported experience of feeling good in a way that actually helps your life. In the second episode, How to Feel More Positive Emotions Without Toxic Positivity, we went deeper and discussed how to access positive emotions without bypassing pain, denying reality, or forcing yourself into gratitude when that's not what you're actually feeling. We also went into the concept of positive emotions as capacity for holding all emotions. It was great stuff. Definitely check it out. So today we're going to talk about how to build positive emotions that actually last. We're not focusing on moods that come and go or those emotional highs. What we're focusing on is a way of relating to your emotions that's sustainable, human, and supportive over time. This episode isn't about doing emotions right. It's about building emotional capacity, emotional safety, and emotional honesty, so positive emotions can arise naturally.
Let's start with some interesting information about the words for positive emotions. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to list all the ways you can feel frustrated, anxious, annoyed, angry, but harder to name the subtle positive emotions you experience? Calm, contentment, quiet joy. They can feel harder to put into words. And here's a fact that I find quite interesting. In English and many Western languages, we actually have more words for negative emotions than positive ones. We have words for anger, irritation, resentment, jealousy, envy. The list goes on. But for positive emotions, fewer options. Words like happy, joyful, excited, or grateful cover a lot of ground, but they don't capture the nuances that negative emotions do. Why is that? Well, part of it comes from evolution. Our brains are wired to notice threats and problems more than rewards and pleasures. It helped our ancestors survive. Think, there's a lion chasing me. Language reflects that bias. We needed lots of ways to describe danger, discomfort, and frustration, but fewer words for calm, ease, or joy. But here's where it gets even more interesting. This isn't true for all languages. Some non-Western cultures actually have more nuanced words for positive emotions than negative ones. In Japanese, for example, there's ame, A-M-A-E. If you speak Japanese and I'm butchering that word, I completely apologize. Ame means the cozy, dependent feeling of being cared for.
Oh,
I know, isn't that awesome?
Yes.
Ame. And we also have in Japanese, wabi-sabi. This is a gentle appreciation for imperfection. Wabi-sabi is actually an art where they take like a chipped vase and they fill it in the hole with gold.
Oh, that's what that is.
Love that. A gentle appreciation for imperfection. In some African languages, there are words that express communal joy or relational well-being that English doesn't fully capture. What this shows us is that language shapes experience.
We know that.
Yep. The words we have or don't have influence what we notice in ourselves and others. In English, because our vocabulary for positive emotions is smaller, it can take intentional effort to notice, name, and savor them. Let's all expand our English vocabulary together. So here are a few words for positive emotions that you may never have heard. I hadn't heard most of these. My recommendation is actually to pick one of these that resonates with you. Maybe something that explains a positive emotion you feel often or you wish to feel often, and integrate it into your vocabulary.
I love this.
Again, if my pronunciation on any of these is butchered, don't yell at me, guys. I did not check the pronunciations, but I'm going to try. The first one is compersion. Compersion is joy felt at another person's happiness. Example, I felt compersion watching her succeed. I think that is really cool.
Love this.
And if you listen to our episodes where we debate proud, let's just all use compersion instead. All right. The next one is ataraxia. I have a feeling this one's going to be quite popular. A state of serene calm and freedom from anxiety. Not happiness, exactly. More unshakable peace. She maintained her ataraxia even as the news grew more alarming. Love that. All right. The next one is eudaimonia.
Okay.
I know. Eudaimonia. Many modern philosophers explore eudaimonia as a deeper sense of well-being than simple happiness.
Okay.
Yeah. Felicity. I know I've heard this as a name before. It means light or graceful happiness, a feeling of rightness plus delight. Much richer than happy, but rarely spoken aloud now. I was overcome with felicity when my first nephew was born.
Oh,
Great example.
yes.
Amity, peaceful harmony and friendship, not excitement. This is absence of friction plus warmth. Here's an example sentence. Because of the amity in our neighborhood, everyone looks out for each other. Yeah. Okay, another one. And you may have heard a version of this. Lucency. So lucent, we've heard, especially relating to medical terms. But lucency is mental clarity paired with calm awareness.
Okay.
A positive emotional cognitive state people rarely name. Here's an example. The reunion brought a sudden lucency to his spirit, erasing years of doubt.
Aw.
Great word. Here's another one. Beatific. Beatific. Radiating quiet joy and peace. More embodied than happy. Almost visible. Here's the example sentence. The bride looked angelic and wore a beatific smile as she walked down the aisle.
I love it. Okay, if y'all have heard me speak, you know that I swear on this. Your brain is listening to your own voice tell you how it is. So you can turn one of those regular, hey, Nicole, how you doing? I'm good. How are you, Jen? What would happen if you disarmed that person with something like beatific? How are you today, Nicole? Oh, I'm feeling lucency. What? Then you get to talk about it. Oh my gosh. Pick a word, you guys. Please let me hear it in the comments.
Love it.
Tell us what your word is. Use it every day when somebody asks you about how you are. I love this. Thank you, Nicole. Those are good words. Which one am I going to choose?
I thought they were fun.
Well, let's talk about how positive emotions actually grow. And it's not by forcing gratitude. It's not by thinking happy thoughts. It's actually through small evidence-based practices that work with your nervous system instead of against it. So practice number 1, we're going to call it micro moments of safety. This first practice is learning to notice the brief, pretty ordinary moments where nothing is urgently wrong, and they actually matter more than we realize. Your nervous system doesn't learn through logic or affirmations. It learns through experience. It actually needs proof. So instead of asking yourself, why can't I just relax? Try pausing and gently noticing. Right now, my body is supported by this chair. Right now, I'm breathing without effort. Right now, there is no immediate threat I need to solve. I love these right now statements because it's not claiming anything but right now. And that is such great presence. Now, these moments might last only a few seconds. For your nervous system, that's actually enough. When you let your system register even brief safety, you're slowly teaching it that it doesn't need to stay on high alert all the time. So over time, these micro moments stack. They widen your window of tolerance. And that is often where calm, steadiness, and even quiet joy begin to show up. It's natural. Practice number 2, we're going to call emotional naming. You simply name an emotion. You're not trying to analyze it. You're not trying to fix it. It creates just enough space between you and the feelings so it can be experienced without overwhelming you. This isn't actually about labeling emotions correctly. It's about allowing them to be seen. So if you don't have the word, it's okay. Let it be there. You might notice yourself saying, that feels like relief, or maybe that's tenderness, or right now I'm feeling quiet contentment or lucency. Thanks for that. When you name a positive emotion, you're helping it land. You're telling your brain, this matters. This is happening. So here's a small experiment. The next time you feel a spark of joy, calm, or gratitude, even if it's just a subtle one, try giving it a word. Any word, let it be imperfect. Just notice it and let it register. Those small moments of awareness don't just describe the experience. They actually deepen it, especially in a culture that often rushes past positive emotions or lacks the language to hold them. Practice number 3, letting two emotions coexist. Oh my gosh, we talk about this in my coaching all the time. We want to let two emotions exist at the same time. This one is a game changer, you guys. You're already doing this even if you don't realize it. Now we're just bringing it into your awareness so you can do it more often and with more intention. Joy does not have to replace sadness. Relief does not cancel out your grief. Calm can exist alongside frustration. When we allow emotions to coexist, we stop asking our inner world to choose sides. We stop demanding that one feeling disappear before another is allowed to show up. This isn't emotional bypassing. It's emotional capacity. And capacity is what allows life to feel fuller, richer, and more real, not because pain disappears, but because it no longer takes up all the space. That's the goal. Not constant happiness, but a nervous system that can hold more of the whole human experience without shutting down.
Oof, that is so true. And I want to warn people because my brain works in a very logical way. And I know that my way of avoiding things is to go logical. So the one part you were talking about where you said name it, I was like, do you know how long I could probably spend trying to figure out the exact word?
Yeah.
I did not give you a list of new words so that you could struggle over the word. Please hear what Jen said. Imperfectly, incorrectly,
Yes.
It doesn't matter. Just give it time.
Today, we are going to agree to call it this.
There you go. Exactly. Well, so far we've talked about creating the conditions, safety, language, and emotional capacity. Now comes the next step, how positive emotions actually strengthen once those conditions exist, not through forcing or fixing, but through how we relate to what we're already experiencing. This is where small shifts create lasting change. So the first step is just noticing. We've touched on this, but it's important to point out that research shows that simply noticing emotional states increases emotional regulation because awareness comes before transformation.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of asking, am I happy? Which often shuts things down, try asking, what am I experiencing right now? Even subtly. You might notice a few seconds of calm, a softening in your shoulders, a sense of relief you almost missed. These moments don't need to be big to matter. Noticing them strengthens emotional awareness and teaches your nervous system that positive states are part of your lived experience, not rare exceptions. Step number 2. This is my favorite. Once you notice a positive moment, the next step is savoring. Savoring means staying with a positive experience just long enough for it to register instead of rushing past it. Now, I want to talk about this for a second. We had a whole series on negative emotions, which we avoid like the plague, and yet we also gloss over our positive emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Studies show that savoring increases both the intensity and duration of positive emotions and helps counteract the brain's natural bias toward threat and problem solving. Remember when we talked about nature, we got to stay safe?
Yep.
We can counteract that. This can be very simple. Pausing after a meaningful conversation, letting yourself fully enjoy a quiet moment, acknowledging relief when something ends. You're not trying to hold on to the moment forever, just long enough to let your system say, yes, this happened.
Can I give you a real world thing? This just happened. I love that we're talking about this because I did not know any of this growing up. And as we go through our journey, Nicole, learning all of this together, this is what we talk about. There was a moment in my household last week where it was a weekend. Everybody was home. The boys were in the garage. They were kicking a soccer ball. I was sitting on the bench with Paul. He wraps his arms around me. And I out loud said, this is my favorite moment. It's going to bring me tears. In my head, I went, this is everything for me right now. And I found myself saying it out loud. And what I didn't know was that I was doing exactly the thing that you just said. I was savoring, but even cooler, I was allowing myself to savor. And I didn't know I was doing this until you just said this. I was showing the boys that it's okay to savor this moment. And it was the simplest of moments. I just was so happy and I said it out loud. And that's what this was. I'm so proud of myself. Thank you.
That is fabulous. And you're right. Allowing yourself to savor.
Yeah.
Allowing yourself to say, yes, here's a moment, and just having the moment instead of you got to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
No, savor. Oh, I love it. I'm so getting into savoring foods and savoring smells and now savoring emotions. There's so much savoring. If you want a rich, deep life, rich in experience, savoring these things instead of just rushing to the next.
Yeah.
Love this. So the third step is meaningful gratitude. This is where many people get stuck. Research shows gratitude is most powerful when it's specific, genuine, and emotionally connected. Now, forced gratitude doesn't regulate the nervous system. It actually often bypasses it. So instead of saying, I should be grateful, try, this mattered to me because. That single shift invites emotional truth instead of obligation. It allows gratitude to deepen experience rather than dismiss difficulty. Gratitude isn't about minimizing pain. It's about letting meaning coexist with it.
I love that.
The final piece is connection. Study after study shows that positive emotions are deeply linked to social connection, even brief moments of attunement. Connection doesn't mean deep conversations every day. It can be as simple as feeling understood, sharing a genuine moment, sharing a smile, being seen without having to explain yourself. These moments regulate the nervous system and reinforce emotional safety, which makes positive emotions more accessible over time. So this is how positive emotions grow in real life. You notice what's already there. You stay with it long enough to let it land. You attach meaning without forcing positivity, and you connect, even in small ways. We don't do this because life will suddenly become easier. We do this because your capacity to experience it becomes wider.
I love this. We're not stuck with the capacity we have.
Yes.
Just want to be clear. It is not about ignoring pain, forcing optimism, performative happiness, or fixing yourself. It's not about any of those things. It is about creating emotional safety, supporting your nervous system, allowing moments of relief, and building emotional resistance over time. Positive emotions don't erase hardship. They help you meet it with more capacity. Capacity is the real goal here. This brings us back to the most important reframe of this entire series. Positive emotions are not about feeling good all the time. They are about increasing what you can hold. When your capacity grows, emotions move instead of getting stuck. Stress feels less overwhelming. Relationships feel safer. Burnout becomes less likely. You don't need to be happier. You need to feel supported enough to be honest.
So important. Last week, I talked about emotional capacity, the ability to hold more than one emotion at a time as my vessel. So I want to offer a different image that builds on that idea. Check your emotions as a river, thoughts, feelings, experiences, all flowing through. Some are calm, some are turbulent. None of them are meant to stop. Your capacity isn't the water, it's the riverbank. When the banks are narrow, even a small surge feels overwhelming and possibly destructive. But as the banks widen, the same emotions can move through without flooding everything.
Good visual.
Isn't that great? Nothing has to be blocked. Nothing has to be forced out. As you build capacity, the banks widen. So the river still flows, joy, grief, relief, excitement, sometimes all at once. And a wider riverbank doesn't mean life is calmer all the time. It means it's more spacious, more depth, more movement, more room for the full human experience. On a side note, I also love Garth Brooks' song, The River. It's one of my favorite songs. So this analogy, I'm like, this is all of it right here. I love this.
That's good. I really like that analogy. I hadn't heard the river analogy before. I've talked to my kids about your emotions are clouds. Watch them as they pass by. We don't anchor onto a cloud. I like the river better.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because when you talk about expansive, and I have such a strong image in my head of all the stuff being washed up on the banks. And it's like, just expand your banks. I can have all the experiences.
Yes. Awesome.
Love it.
Takeaways. This series, it was so good to name these things. I went into this series like, I hate people who are happy all the time because it's not real. What I was calling toxic positivity.
Yeah.
And you kind of learn where that comes from, why it's there, and why they thought it was necessary. I was like, you're lying to yourself. Nothing's great all the time. But when we were able to talk about why they matter, why are we not feeling them? It makes sense. Yeah. You wrapped it up today. We really are short of cavemen trying to survive. So it would make sense that we wouldn't sit and allow. We are in such a productivity-driven, results-driven society that we really don't feel like we have the time to sit in a positive emotion. We don't give our credits the pat on the back. Like, wow, that was cool that I did that. Let me take a moment. I know that I lived like that my whole life because I just had certain expectations for myself and I didn't deserve to be feeling this moment of joy. And I know I'm not the only one. We touched on that. Why should I be feeling this? Who am I to feel happy when XYZ is happening? And I really love how you were pointing out the wrap up. Allow it to feel. It takes a half a second. When you build that over time, just like everything that we talk about, when it fires, it wires. Our brain now understands, oh, this isn't a weird, scary thing. I'm allowed to smile. I'm allowed to feel happy, even with all of these other things happening. I think my takeaway is just the permission that I feel given now to enjoy it more, as though I needed permission, but I feel like it gives it to me. That's my takeaway. I now have permission to experience it more. Thank you.
That's fantastic. I would say, for me, having a label for things helps my brain box things. So the toxic positivity is like, oh, I always knew that was a thing, but I never knew what the label for it was. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's totally toxic positivity. It's, I have to be positive all the time. Whereas this feels like it's kind of our overarching thing is being genuine, being authentic to your value system and what matters to you. I love that we're constantly talking about our nervous system and how to regulate our nervous system, because I feel like in our society, we are so at a point of, I'm just going to move from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, and stopping and pausing. I think that's one of the reasons that meditation is so huge for people. So understanding the concept of toxic positivity and why it always felt like a miss for me when somebody was kind of throwing that, I was like, yes, there's something odd about that. And it's not allowing space to feel, but understanding how powerful positive emotions are for creating the capacity to hold the negative emotions or the emotions that we need to process through. We've got the whole series on that. Love how these tie together. I love how this just creates a deeper, richer life. And we talked about the experience of not pushing away the negative emotions. Now we're also talking about not skipping over the positive emotions. I think this is so powerful. And my one buzzword from this entire series is savoring. I feel like for 2026, that's kind of one of my words. It's just savoring, just to savor everything, including what I feel, positive or negative.
Yes.
And just letting myself sit and not in judgment. It's so huge for me. And I also had so much fun learning new words.
Yeah, I'm so going to start using it because if I don't use it, I don't preach it. So you know that I take those opportunities. I haven't even decided which one. They're so cool. I'm so excited. Thank you for those.
Well, my word is I'm in a state of enterexia.
I love it.
Which is because of lack of anxiety. I was like, you got me.
That's the one I want.
My new word. I'm focusing on that. Because the truth is, I'm in that state more often than I'm in anxiety. I focus on the anxiety more than I do on that state. So I was like, that's my word right there. I'm taking that one forward.
I really, really like it. Compersion was your first one. And I'm like, I feel that every day with my kids. And you pointed it out, the proud conversation. Am I proud of you? No, I'm happy because you're happy. I really like that. You know, eudaimonia.
Yeah.
That might be it. That might be it. Deeper sense of well-being than simple happiness. I really can say I'm there these days. And if I can spit it out, you know, that's going to get somebody going, what? What?
They're going to be like, what did you just say? Eudaimonia? I'm not ammonia. Eudaimonia. I'm guessing that's spelled EUDAIMONIA. And you know what? We have more fun when we don't look at spell. Like, I know you can do tell me how to pronounce that, but I'm like, that's not as fun as us pronouncing.
We're making it up. We're making it up. Practice that one today. Yes. I love it. This is good stuff.
All right. Questions.
Nicole, what is your superpower?
I think my superpower right now is being able to read a room. And in the sense that it's not all the time, but when I focus on it, I can really clarify how I need to address a situation to make it better.
That's a superpower for sure.
Every time I do it, and I have done it in life, my husband's always like, you're amazing when you do. And I'm like, everybody can do that. He's like, oh no, everybody cannot do that. Really? Like, I had an incident with my 9-year-old granddaughter. And she thought something. And so we had a conversation. It was so cool. But by the end of the conversation, I'm crying because I'm like, I love you. You're like one of the most special people. And after that, she was on me like for the whole weekend. She was just like the loveliest thing. And he's like, you don't know how amazing what you did was. I'm like, no, not really.
It's just what I do.
Yeah, I just do what I do. I'm like, I don't everybody know how to do that, but I forget that we all have our things.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's the one I'm taking.
I like it.
All right. My question for you is, were you popular in high school?
I don't know. I think it depends on who you talk to. Okay, so I went to a very small private Catholic high school. So I graduated with 49 people.
Oh my goodness.
I can name every single person. And it also had boarding students, some international. So I don't know what popular was. I was an athlete. I played all the sports. I also got really good grades, just unintentionally, because I didn't put effort into it. It was just like,
you were just smart.
And I'm only saying that in that I had my core group of friends that I felt the best with, that I hung out with the most. But on any given lunch or any given day, you could see me talking with these people over here, those people over there. I was voted most athletic in high school. I was in all the clubs. So I don't know. I can tell you that if I went to the public high school that my brother went to, the answer would have been like, no. No, I was not. And I did not care to be. But at this school, it was a unique experience in that I don't really see that there was an opportunity for one particular group to be like the it group. We didn't really fall into the categories. Also, I graduated in 1999. Things were different. Back then. So I'm sorry, I don't know the answer. I guess it depends on who you talk to.
It's funny because anybody I've ever asked that question to who had a small school kind of answers the way you do. There wasn't really like the popular kids, whereas I was 1,000 kids in my school. There was the popular kids. But I also love that you redefined popular in your answer. I think that's interesting because you're popular with your friends.
That's right.
And what's the definition of popular?
Well, I played all the sports, but volleyball was my sport. Now, my brother was a basketball player at the public high school, and basketball draws a crowd. But volleyball at my school drew a crowd because they had never seen teams win before. And I got an athletic scholarship, and my school cared nothing for sports. We didn't even have a football team at that time. So when we started going to playoffs, everybody knew my name, but everybody would have known my name anyway because it was a very small school. So it was a different kind of like they're cheering you on. Now, my brother who went to that 1,000%, my brother could answer this question absolutely yes. Of course, he had his friends, but he was quite popular because he's the guy that walks into a bar, makes friends with everybody, and then takes an hour to leave because he's got to figure out how your grandma is. That wasn't me. But in a different context, I was just telling my kids this. Funny. Your value depends on where you are. So I took them through the whole gas station water bottle, $2. Resort water bottle, same water bottle, $10. You're in the airport, $6. Where is your value and who will pay it? So at my school, it was different. There you go.
Great answer.
Thanks. As we wrap up the series, we would like to leave you with this. You don't need to chase positive emotions. You don't need to perform happiness. You don't need to bypass your pain. You are allowed to feel fully. You're allowed to feel honestly, and you're allowed to build a life where positive emotions arise naturally because you're supported, regulated, and human. Thank you for walking this positive emotions road with us on Lessons of the Journey. We'd love to hear what resonates with you on our socials. Visit us on Instagram or Facebook. And as always, take what resonates, leave the rest, and trust that your emotions are not the problem. They are the path. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Write your lives with passion, let your spirit freely roam. The lessons of your journey will lead you safely home.